right, just back from my morning stroll. I had to go. Being stuck home during Irish winter, it's nice, but at some point you need to get out, refresh. Particularly before a video like that. This one is going to be on my influences in general and the inspiration, literature, the literature that is an inspiration for Mon. So plenty to discuss. I don't know if I'm going to be able to format that into something digestible. Those who've been following me know already that I'm a rambler, aimless rambler. But I'm looking up at my my bookshelf there with all the books I bought recently or less recently that are on a reading list. On my reading list, because I realized at the beginning of assembling ideas and for Mon that there is a massive underlayer of references I'm not I'm aware of, but I'm not akin to, I'm not accustomed to, and some classics that I someone ought to read in one's lifetime, right? Not only when someone finds himself about to design a game like Mon, but generally speaking, this reading list is the stuff that I want to get into before it's too late. So there is let's go. I have somewhat prepared a kind of a plan for this video, but well, you'd see it's gonna be pretty hectic, pretty disorganized. I hope you get something out of it as well. This is a reading list that is filled with massive titles and very I think very important works. But when it comes to my early childhood influence, I guess, I grew up in the 80s, 90s. I'm born in 1980, so back in the days, computers and digital format wasn't a thing. Phones were not a thing. Internet was not a thing. So it's early picture books. Comics that were part of my growing up. Traditional arts, the craft of making a book, making pictures, the craft of as a kid, let loose in the woods or in the streets. You don't have the distractions. You don't have the modern tools to get your attention sucked in somewhere else where you are. I had to, like everyone else at the time, use my imagination, right? And invent games, invent tools, invent situations, invent worlds, and that's what you do. And this comes not from nowhere. This comes from a heritage, right? I was born in France. My father is an artist still, and that was determinant in really shaping my view on the world and way to see the world. So early picture books. I don't have them. My father got rid of all of them when I turned 35. I think he called me one day to say that he had gotten rid of all my book collection, picture books, including role-playing games from my childhood and teens. And so I had to. That was a trigger. That was a massive trigger to re-immerse myself, to go and build a book collection again and read again, and in fact wrap up my education sort of. And that's what I'm kind of that's what I've kind of wanted to do now with that reading list. The earliest literature of importance, that influenced me was The Lord of the Ring, Bilbo the Hobbit. Of course, that's determinant in understanding what is fantasy. Why do we have these universes? The nostalgia of the Middle Ages and antiquity. And all our past history, right, and myths and all that. So the Lord of the Ring is a sort of like a beginner's entry door to those ancient concepts, archetypes, and that was. I remember the Lord of the Ring when I began to read that, and Bilbo was like devouring them. Was amazing. And there was a time when I had already discovered role-playing games. When I was, I think, around 7 or 8, I began the Pick-Your-Own Adventure books, which with White Wolf and the Dark Eye, and all those series, right? And I was given, my first role-playing game was given to me. It was Warhammer Fantasy. And that was the beginning of, I guess, until I was 18, 17, we played really like just all the time. And I was mainly the game master then. So we had a campaign that lasted from I think from 14 to 17, for 3 years. We had a big, long campaign of Warhammer going. But in between, there were other discoveries. There was Shadowrun, there was Cyberpunk, Vampire, Werewolf. We played, we GM'd all of these games back and forth. The biggest French title is for me is Rêve de Dragon. For me, it's Rêve de Dragon. Dragon's Dream is the ultimate role-playing game. No doubt, because of the way the concept, the world is layers of dreams, of realities dreamt by dragons, who once dreamt in synchronization, but they were woken up by dwarfs or something, and they went back to sleep at different point in time, and so the world is shattered. And you can travel between realms. So this concept fits perfectly the role-playing game medium, because role-playing games are that too, right? We are all dragons, sort of, in that sense, right? So that was Rêve de Dragon. And then as I grew up, I was just talking about my general influences there, not the ones I've picked specifically to develop and design Mon. But as a teen, my dad took me into the family theater, and I studied theater. Then after leaving CERT, so I was accustomed to reading Molière, Shakespeare, Chekhov, Dostoevsky. At the theater school, I discovered Jerzy Grotowski, an amazingly influential director. Theater director from Poland. Then there was poetry too, Paul Éluard, René Char, for the French speakers out there, and some like the equivalent for me, the Japanese Dostoevsky, which is Yasunari Kawabata. So those really were very. I didn't realize back then, how important to it is to get to know those works. These at the time I just took not for granted, but I didn't know how that was going to fashion me as a man. Indeed. And there was a big discovery made thanks to a friend at a schoolmate at the theater school, which became my, not the friend, but the Sri Aurobindo. The writings of Sri Aurobindo. What do we have here? This, I'm just reading this at the moment, the Secret of the Veda by Sri Aurobindo. I have billions of books from Sri Aurobindo. The rebirth and karma. We have this is for me the most beautiful book. It's my favorite book. Sri Aurobindo, Savitri by Sri Aurobindo. It's a massive poem recounting the quest of Lady Savitri going into the land of the dead, into Inferno or whatever, to retrieve the soul of her lover and bring him back to life. So if you have not heard of Sri Aurobindo, or if you don't know the legend of Savitri, give it a go. This is a life changer. This is Sri Aurobindo, the synthesis of yoga, the life divine, all and many more. He had an ashram in Pondicherry back in the first half of the 20th century. A real help to get through life in general, and a terrific inspiration when it comes to planes of existence, reincarnation, karma, all of that. So that really has a definite grip on my psyche, on the way I conceptualize the world, I see things. Now let's get to the stuff that I picked to feed my imagination for the design of Mon. Myself, I'm not sure if I'd be able to read all of that before supposedly release date in 2030. There's a lot of book. I am generally speaking, when I'm on a good, bent, aligned with myself and all of that, I read about 50 pages in the morning every day, which for a year or 300 days would be like 15,000 pages, which is, I didn't count the total number of pages that are on the reading list, but it could be like between 2 and or maybe 1 or 2 years of reading, I think at best, because of course, I'm concurrently reading 10 to 11 books at the same time. So I try to not wait too long between returning to a specific title. Like I cycle them, right? And there is 4 books of normal literature, and about 2, 4, 6, 8, 6 role-playing games, right? Plus comics in between, because I always between books I read 2 spreads of a given comics, so I can rest my eyes and just travel into somewhere else, and titles on dinosaurs as well. But I think I'll do a separate video on dinosaurs proper, and comics as well. Comics, we have this year I read Dinotopia, the entirety of it by James Gurney. you know, it's a classic from the 90s that I wasn't aware of, but it's a treasure. It's a treasure. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. So there's Dinotopia for those who know. For those who don't, just get into that. Even if you're not into dinosaurs, it's just, well, maybe for your kids as well. Yeah, it's so good. So there's Dinotopia. There's Neandertal, because there are Neanderthals in the setting of Mon. So I read a Neandertal by Emmanuel Roudier, who is as well, he's an author and illustrator, comics artist. What did I want to say? Yeah, there's Worm, the role-playing game set in the Ice Age, jeu de rôle dans la préhistoire, prehistoric role-playing. This is a fantastic title. This is gorgeous. It's written and illustrated by the same man, Emmanuel Roudier. Well, not the best spread here. Yeah, this stuff. I led a campaign of that, I think 2 or 3 years ago. It was amazing. This is, I have all the collection now, all the books from this role-playing game. So this is a terrific inspiration for Mon, because the Golog, as the Neandertal are called in Mon, are playable. They are a very influential culture within the setting, and generally speaking, paleontology and archaeology and prehistory are fascinating topics to me, and I will definitely bring that over to Mon. There's La Guerre du Feu, which is the Quest for Fire, I think. There was a movie done that was translated in The Quest for Fire, same illustrated by Emmanuel Roudier. We have this that I wanted to definitely finally read, the Metabarons by Jodorowsky and Gimenez. Yeah, because this is more the sci, right? Well, I won't make it a sci-fi game. It's a space fantasy game. So stuff is coming from space, and space has influences the gameplay in some way, the outer world, right? There will not be space travel in the game, so that's why I don't call it a sci fantasy, but rather a space fantasy, because there are cosmic beings all over the place and stuff, and titans, and so extraterrestrial, otherworldly life interacting with the setting. So the Metabarons, it's gonna be a treat. I can't wait to get through this one. And just ordered yesterday Sloane and Salammbo by Phillipe Druillet, which is one of the major as well inspiration from back in the days, the years of before heavy metal and all of that. A good friend of Enki Bilal. For those who don't know, Enki Bilal is a very, very influential comics artist from France, who does science fiction, but just gorgeous. So those are the comics illustrated works that I'm digging into. So things I've read already. You'll see the list. I'll put the list down in the description. We'll go through it. I'll comment a little bit on each title. Bear in mind that those are books that I have not read yet. Yeah. So, but I know that I have to. For Mon and beyond, and past that, it's like I said. I think those titles are essential. If you wanna know what you are, why you are what you are. I think right now, 21st century, blah blah blah. There are a couple dudes that made terrific stuff back in the days, and we sit on their shoulders, right? So stuff that I read already: The Time Machine by A.G. Wells. That was fun. It's short. It reads well. I like early 20th century, late 19th century. I think that was late 19th. I can't remember the exact date. 1890 something, I guess. I like a lot the language, the tone, the groove, the rhythm of the language of that era, which is very fine, elaborate, soft to read, with complex sentences, but a knowledge of the tongue, of the phrasing that is unparalleled. So the Time Machine. Not that there will be time travel in Mon role-playing game, but in my mind, the idea was to sort of make a tour of the first steps, how sci-fi came to, how it grew, how it developed, how it evolved. Sci-fi, fantasy as well. Early fantasy titles I haven't put in the list. We'll see. Don't think I've done that. Well, there's the Bible, but well, and other stuff, Chrétien de Troyes and stuff. We'll see when we come to it. So I read The Time Machine. I read the Tao Te Ching, right? The version translated by Ursula Le Guin. So the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tsu. Because it's one kind of a book, and one ought to read that. It's terrific. You read 1 or 2 poems a day, and you're set. It's very, very liberating. Then I read the myth. Now we're going into the myth of the eternal return by Mircea Eliade. Right, so this partly aged well, partly not. What was the trouble I had with it? That eventually he make a plea. He pleads for a return to Christianity, which I thought as a scientist is a scientist. Yeah, he was a. He studied myth, he studied ethnology and stuff. Well, I was surprised by that. But anyway, the first 2 chapters, the first 2 parts, before he gets onto the terror of history, which is interesting because it's the terror of history, somewhat that. We didn't know back in the days, back in prehistory, right? Because prehistory is prehistory. So the terror of history wasn't known as such. Terror of history is how you as God has died. The meaning of existence and of history is thrown back onto man's shoulder, and he cannot give things meaning, cannot give meaning to war, cannot give like a legitimation. It cannot legitimate the things that still appear throughout time. But before those things were events that were the result of either a divine will or some kind of cosmic order, right? It's the myth of the eternal return is great to understand the roots of cosmos, the concept of cosmos, and that is for when it comes to Mon, huge, because we deal constantly. Well, I think we'll deal constantly in Mon with chaos and cosmos, right? With Zeon and Chaos. So that was a great read. That's easy to read. He writes very well. Mircea Eliade. Then I read coming back to the origins, wanting to know where things come from. I read Gilgamesh, translated by Stephen Mitchell, or a version by Stephen Mitchell. A good read, very fun, very funny. With Enkidu and Gilgamesh and their adventures, and just it's very, very human, but at the same time superhuman. But it's men and gods, right? And how they communicate and interact. Very cool stuff there. A must. Yeah, I really loved reading Gilgamesh. With Mon, but there is a lot. But because we're going to play heroes, we're going to play humans that transcend their condition. Humans, beings, conscious beings, because they are mutants, they are lizard men, whatever, name it, But conscious beings that transcend the limits of their make, of their culture, and transcend. So it's not going to be a game of superheroes per se, but a game of people who transcend themselves. So in that sense, they become more than quote unquote human, or Neandertal, or lizard men, or mutants, whatever. So Gilgamesh was a great read to get a sense of what it feels to be chosen, to be above, to have no limits, or give yourself no limits. There's a bit of this tension. Where do you break the law, or where do you push it, further? There was this tension, and I think it's great. I will definitely that will bear fruits definitely in the setting. Following that, I think I should have read it before, but it was fun to read Gilgamesh first. Of course, is the Enuma Elish, right, which is the myth, the Babylonian myth of creation. Here it's crazy stuff. It's the tablets, right? It's the first writings that we have, the cuneiform writings, and it's just pages after pages of weird poetical, godly affairs of gods that behaves like children, and the world is just swayed back and forth, left and right, at their whim and caprices. It's unbelievable. The last one, the Atrahasis, is the myth of the flood, the first flood myth, right? It's incredible as well. The ending is a portent, like a call to humanity to be careful. This was most of the Old Testament and the earlier material of the Bible is coming from that. The flood is coming from there. Next, the Chronicles of Morgaine. This year I read this. There's a fourth book that was written 9 years later by C.J. Cherryh. Typical fantasy. I wanted to read that just to have a rest from deeper stuff. And I made a short video on, I made a read-along video on it in the other playlist, Inspiration Read-Along. And that was really a treat, really just something you come back to this other world. You have those two adventurers, and you stick with them for 3 books. They travel between worlds. Excuse me. And there is this. She's very. She writes very well. It's she's her own thing, right? It's hard to compare. Like Frank Herbert is a lot more synthetic, and like he picks a detail and he blow it up and out, and then that gives a completely, an unexpected dimension to the thing. But here she describes everything like there is a more sort of like cinematic, realistic, sort of like you trail through the world with them in the dirt. A lot to do with horsemanship and stuff. That was very interesting. Yeah, a great book, great sci fantasy. I think. So there is very little sci in there. What I'm reading at the moment, now there is, Origins by Lewis Dartnell. This isn't bad. I'm just like 98 pages in. Origins, how the Earth made us. So when it comes to world building, get a sense of how cultures develop depending on geography, the movement of tectonic plates and stuff, how animals and men evolved according to the quote-unquote the whims of the planet. Like currents, weather, climates, tectonic plates, and all of that. This I think this is important stuff. I'm not sure this is the ultimate title on the matter. It's mainstreamed and somewhat. It's not heavy on politics, but global warming and all that. But it's not putting the accent too much on the tragic, right, on the gloom. But very cool, like the African Rift, where human comes from, why there, how we travel the global map to spread around the world, and why these ways, why is the Silk Road where it is, and this kind of things. So when it comes to world building, hard world building, when how many continents do you want on your planet? What rivers? How advanced are civilizations? Why is there? Why some civilizations are more advanced than others, and all stuff, and all that kind of questioning. This is a book that helps when it comes to that. I have like loads of other titles on similar things, more aimed at role-playing games. Like there are how many books on world building in the role-playing game, literature, so there are a few that I won't name here. I have them. I have mostly PDF versions of them, but never mind. Now there is I'm reading Dune. Dune, of course. This is the second trilogy. I'm nearly finished with the Heretics of Dune. Just one novel left. No comment. This is a no-brainer when you write and design a space fantasy, mythic space fantasy role-playing game. Dune is, anyway, as a human being, you ought to do that to yourself. This is something. I've read the first trilogy last year. I'm reading this one now. But this is incredible to as well for world building, designing cultures, designing institutions, organizations, game politics, things like that. Characterization, who are the main actors of the setting, what's in their brain, how do you think as a leader, how do you think as a tyrant. In Mon there is a lot. I'm trying to develop a map, a spread of various powers that have various that are different, and they clash, but as well they have reason to clash and they have reason to ally. I'm always trying to make the world a form of a balanced ecosystem that makes sense as millennia go by. through the time goes by in the setting, you want those cultures to make sense, as in why did they remain? Why are they, if they're enemies, why are they still enemies now, or why have they finally allied? What came out of it? So, yeah, Dune is the best schooling you could dream of when it comes to those kind of like how to devise an alternate world, an alternate reality that is anchored in psychological realism, right? Then I'm reading this at the moment. It's just The Secret of the Veda by Sri Aurobindo. Like if you want to go to the roots, of myth, the roots of magic, the roots of spirituality, yoga, all those concepts, those experiences, this relationship we have with life and consciousness. This is the cream of the cream, top. It's Sri Aurobindo has a very old school way of writing, but there's not a single thing left to hazard to accident. It's everything is precise. Is the long English, pure English phrases. It's a treat to read. You need to get into it. Like Sri Aurobindo is not for every brain at the start, but once you get into the sort of like that space that is opening, your brain just swells, and your brain and your sense of of self, of life. So because there is in Mon. There is a spirit world. There is a meditation skill, and there is interacting a lot, interacting with Kaon and Zeon, with the cosmos and the chaos and their forces. I wanted to delve into how the rishis, right, the sages of the days, the Aryan rishi, did it. What did they see? What did they experience? What did they? And in that book, he's translating sort of like the Veda, the hymns, into some things, into a psychological adventure where we with modern words we understand what they did back in the days. Incredible stuff, for sure. So that's what I'm reading right now. Next, there's this one I'm reading too. The cover is a bit, we can see the outline. It's Maria Gimbuta's Language of the Goddess. She's an archaeologist, archaeologist, prehistorian. And she explains the myth, the civilization of the goddess back in old Europe, pre-Indo-European invasions. So we're talking just at the beginning until like minus 5,000, or the beginning of agriculture, minus 10,000, around that, in Europe. And she goes through those books of hers are just magnificent. It's those plates. You go and like this is really like at scientific level, like she's really describing every artifact and explaining the meaning of the symbols and the zigzags, the meanders, the spirals. This is a treat as well. It's quite scientific, like. You really have to just sit down and take a long breath, and you just read, and then you dream of the things she talks about after, right? But when you read it, it's more like it's study. It's really studying the prehistory. And like I said, the setting of Mon starts at very early on. The history of the setting when before the space invaders arrived, and when there was no dinosaurs, because dinosaurs were implanted, and they came after. There was no dinosaur in the time, prior. The mammals were there, and the children of Mon, the Golog, and the Neandertal, and they were at peace in a paradise on Earth. And all of a sudden, you have pods falling from the sky, from space, and delivering, hordes of dinosaurs, and who took over the ecosystem and destroyed the mammal life, basically, mostly all great mammals, and like bear, lions, and horse, and whatnot, even wolves. They all disappeared, eaten by the dinosaurs. Their species spirit became expelled of the of life as is, and but then I think those spirits, each extinct species spirit will sort of like recoalesce later in the setting into great giant versions. So mammals are not gone; they're giant. Those that were extinct, right? So you have giant jaguar, giant bear, giant wolf, gorilla, and stuff like that. All the species of mammals that were too big to not fall under to not avoid the falling on the radar of the dinosaurs, right? Because mammals really, like on Earth, really started to come to evolve more freely after the comet, right? 66 million years ago, right? Before that, there were only smaller mammals, right? In Mon, it's the contrary. There were mammals first, and dinosaurs came after, and then there is some kind of like cohabitation going on. Maria Gimbutas, if you want to know more about how the mother goddess, the Gaia and all that, the origin of the myth, like this is really going like far as we can go into our past. And trying to understand what we read of the world, how we understood life, where it's from, and all of that. And I'm afraid to say it's the woman. it's a woman's show. Everything was directed towards her and came from her, and it's fascinating to see the proofs of that, and read the research that was done on that topic. Now, so the list goes on, right? I have two more titles on the list. One I mentioned already. I don't know if I will take the time to read them, because I read them already back in the days, a couple of years back, 20 or 30 years back, I don't know. There was Rebirth and Karma, and the Bhagavad Gita, commented, translated by Sri Aurobindo again. So Bhagavad Gita, it's a myth, but it's teachings as well. It's Krishna talking to Arjuna in the middle of a war. And Krishna trying to understand what is free will, I think. And karma and rebirth and karma, it's how the world, at the big double view, is functions. The law of karma, how things are interconnected, and of course both themes are important to me in general, but for Mon, there's a spirit world, there's meditation, there is devotion, reincarnation, spirits, shamanism, this is something I want to have in the back of my mind, the corner of my mind, sort of like to refer to when I look for like spiritual architecture, the spiritual architecture behind the setting. So there's this. My desk is becoming a bit crowded. Then I decided to build my my reading list in sort of like more or less chronological, logical order. One thing leading to the other, or feeding the next, and the next read. So here, next on the list is the poetic Edda, which is the Norse myth, Odin and all that clique. So pretty hard to read. I didn't really delve deep into it yet. I just read a couple of sentences. Pretty hard to read. A massive family trees and stuff. I don't know if it's the best way to get into Norse mythology, but I wanted to, as you maybe have noticed already, I wanted to read the original material. I didn't want to read a comment on it or a thesis on it. So there is a culture in Mon, the Bannard, which is really heavily influenced by Norse and Celtic mythology, and the vibe and feel of because, well, I think they're Celtic and Norse are an essential. They're even at the core of what is fantasy, right? I think maybe we have Asian fantasy, of course, as well, yeah. But for when it comes to European myth and fantasy, Norse mythology is the go-to. So I look forward to that. This is an area I'm really not familiar with, and it's gonna be great. This one is the Poetic Edda, translated by Caroline Larrington. Whatever, very pro YouTuber here. Then, going from there, we have, of course, the unavoidable Iliad and Odyssey by Homer, translated, and this I really recommend, translated by Emily Wilson. Thanks, Antigone, for recommending this translation. I've compared it to another 3 or 4 translations, and this indeed is the one. It's very fluid, very modern, but at the same time, it's true. It feels authentic, and it flows just wow. I can't wait to have that in my belly, you know. And yeah, the hero's journey, you know, the myths and transcending one's condition, fighting against the gods, against the odds, against adversity, becoming a man, you know, becoming. There's, I think, I don't know, I will see when I read it, but I think the biggest tension here is between becoming and being, right? The difference between gods and humans, right? Gods are, and humans are in transition, right? Even if we don't feel it, I think we are in a transition. We are a transitory species. Depends on what theory of evolution we believe in. I'm still not set myself. I don't think it really matters. What matters is personal experience. But yeah, Homer, the Odyssey, that's going to be. And as a complement to that, the way the Romans reinterpreted that. So we have here a Metamorphosis by Ovid. Of course, Mon is filled with mutants, with genetic clashes and experiments and mergings, and through magical reasons, you know, we have the Zia, these interdimensional travelers they have the homeless gland in the brain. They use it to open portals between dimensions, but they used it on Mon as well to alter the world, invent the world of their paradigm. And I think Metamorphosis by Ovid will be a super fun read and a great inspiration when it comes to that sort of things in the setting of Mon. How parts of the psyche of one being merge with the part of the psyche of another being. How those two things come together to create a third entity, right? And sort of like compositing psyches, right? I think that will be a great help when it comes as well to building like the history for each culture or the origin myth, particularly for the origin myth of each of the ancestries within Mon setting. This is going to be great. And again, I think if you're European or of Western culture, this has a major impact on what we on our psyche, on the Westerners' psyche. That's I need to tower book building here. What do we have else? Then we go. There's a jump. I wanted. There's that culture in the Ryun, R-Y-U-N. The Ryun is a culture of Mon. They're Amayan, so they're humans. They come from another world, Amay. Now they're stuck. They escaped their world. There was an exodus. They escaped their world that they destroyed. You know, the classic. And they arrive on Mon, and they're stuck. They lost their technology. They can't space travel anymore. Mostly technology in Mon is magic, right? With a bit of somewhat 40k, Warhammer 40k, injected here and there. But so the reason, they are because I'm a fan of Japan, manga and stuff. I wanted to have a Japanese, Chinese influenced culture, a playable culture in the game. So here we have a Chinese epic, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, by I don't know who, by Luo Guanzong, right? Rest in peace. Which is an epic of like imperiums, kingdoms fighting each other, love stories in between, something. It's possibly like I don't know if it's the kind of myth if Shakespeare had been Chinese, he would have inspired himself from. Like I think in here you have the equivalent of Macbeth and Hamlet and all these, and King Lear, Chinese version. So this is going to be interesting. I don't know if I dedicate myself to reading it entirely. If it feeds me well, I think I'll keep at it. Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is part of a block I have put together to look for inspirations for Eastern culture. For the Ryun. Of course, there is. If I say, of course, for me it's a new discovery, but for those who know, it's a classic. This one is Japan, Tale of the Heike, which is a big book. It reads. It's a bit tougher to read. I don't know about it's possibly translation and the original form of it. I don't know in what form it was delivered back in the days, possibly orally, and then they wrote quite early on. These guys, So Tale of the Heike, it's conspirations, impossible love stories, I guess, wars between kingdoms. But I really I always say, I love Japan, but I know nothing really of the mythology behind that culture. So this is not like super ancient. Like I think this is 11th century or something, maybe at the earliest 8th century, or possibly later 14th. Excuse my my ignorance. But this really will help me make a reunion culture in Mon, believable, inspired, rooted. The reunion, if I begin to start to talk about the reunion, yeah, they have an emperor, he's immortal, the soul of the firstborns are all sent to him to be sacrificed, so to feed the sword, the ancestral sword. Yeah, madness. His wife abandoned him to create the sisterhood. She was the first to be in contact with the great mother, the great cosmic mother. She's at, she was at she created the cult and which became the Concord Church later on. Those are later details in the timeline of Mon's setting. So yeah, Tale of the Heike. It looks very amusing, very moral as well. Then there is Back to China. We have Journey to the West. It's the Monkey King quest, right? It's the Monkey King epic. There is 4 volumes like that, like 500 pages each. 4 volumes. I'll try and go through the first one, and we'll see if I can give more time to it. I don't think I'll need to know more than that to get the inspiration material I need to develop. This about questing, about adventure, there's a lot of quirky dialogues, fun jokes, Chinese humor in there, morale, and it's quite complex as well. Like loads of the names of loads of gods, divinities, spirits. It's gonna be a tough read, I think, but a great inspiration as well to enrich the mythic aspect of Mon's setting. What do we have next? This one again about the reunion culture. I think I wanted to get into. This is more like it's the Pillow Book by Say Shanagan. I think it's 12th century or something. Little book. It's the journals of a concubine, a geisha back in ancient Japan. These are books who fall to their sides. Possibly, I don't know if I'm going to skip it, but I read a couple of pages. It's very well translated, and it gives the closest, the most precise insight you could have on what the Japanese imperial court and noble courts, how these people behaved and why, and how they saw the world. She is a very sensitive person. She's in awe before cherry blossoms and stuff. Talking of impossible loves and machinations, and from it's really the insider's perspective on what used to be traditional Japan culture. So this is on the list. Next we have the Bible. The Bible. It's a book. You probably heard of it before. I'm really interested in the Bible, in the myth and the story, the history of all of that. I think Jesus is it's a terrific tale. I think it's a parable. Right, I see it. I will read the Bible as I would read any other mythology book, looking for clues as to how can you read that and understand the psychology, right? Understand why it was written as it is and why we see it that way. Completely, the church is a thing as well in Mon, and I think it's important for me to establish the difference between myth and cult, right? Between belief and practice and traditions and all of that. There is not only Jesus, and there is loads of heroes there, right? And heroic stories and all of that, and loads of magic and supernatural stuff happening. So it's gonna be. And I wasn't baptized. I'm not religious myself, but I have a spirituality, and it's a book. If it's not been influential, I don't know what can be. So I think it's I can't avoid that reading at least the Old Testament. I'm going to at least read the Old Testament and Sodom and Gomorrah. And that type of tales, right? And there is a creation myth as well there, so it's going to be interesting to see if that's of an inspiration to one of those ancestries within the setting. I want every ancestry to have a somewhat different origin myth and believable myth for them, yeah. Because when you're a mutant, a product of a quote-unquote magical scientific experiment, how do you explain your own existence, right? How do you see your maker, right? So the Bible. But next, as like a logical following, we have Chrétien de Troyes, Arthurian romances. So Tristan and Isolde, Arthur, the Arthurian myth, the Grail, romance and courting and chivalry, glory, honor. So what made the it's like what is it? Is how to become a better man. It's kind of like, it's very scholarly in the sense that it's very like schooling. It's always Chrétien de Troyes and the Arthurian romances and myth in general. I think it's very how do we say it's a bit patronizing as to what man is meant to be, what woman is meant to be, what is to be good. It's good and bad, good and evil. But again, like at the roots of our own fantasy, so, and this is possibly was already fantasy, right? So there's this. The companion book to this is the Mabinogion, which is a recollection of myths and stories of the Arthurian era, of Welsh. It's the Welsh Arthurian legends. So I guess loads to do about druids, about conflicts between cultures and religions, and between the pagans and the Druidism and the Roman Church and English churches as they were developing back in the days. And again, yeah. So this is early fantasy, early fantasy. I can't wait for this one. Possibly great inspiration for the Bannard, which is my Celtic influenced culture in Mon's setting. Next, we have something. Yeah, again, the Divine Comedy. But I wanted to read that one for a long time, and I put it on the reading list after the Bible. Makes sense. This is the descent into hell and back the ascension into paradise. It's sublime. Just the way it's written, it's very old school. It's Dante Alighieri. Yeah, it's 14th or 14th century. I'm not, or 13th century. Can't recall now. I have, I have this talking comics. The Doré illustrations for Dante's Divine Comedy. But this is like everyone like should go and give that a look if you're not aware of that. I really encourage you to because this is not only the topic is deep, but the drawings, the engravings, it's engravings. I don't know technical terms. It's plates. This was engraved on metal, right, and printed. So that is as much as I know so far about the Divine Comedy. It's thanks to Gustave Doré's illustrations, but I'm going to read the full Dante Alighieri Divine Comedy. There must be stuff in there, and if not, if anything, it's all of this. If it doesn't have a direct, like if I cannot transfer and inspire myself directly from it, it will feed my my knowledge of English. It will feed my my general knowledge, and it will hopefully make of me somewhat of a better writer, right? I think it makes sense after those couple of titles to read Goethe's Faust. Don't know how to pronounce it in English. Goethe. Faust. There is a lot to do in Mon with interacting with forces that are beyond your understanding and making deals with them. One of the major events in Mon's history is the Khartoum's deals. The Khartoum's deals. So the deal was done between a sorcerer and an interdimensional being who sort of like tricked everyone into it. The Far, the name of that interdimensional being, the immaterial, also called, is he devours knowledge, but at like species, planetary, global levels. He can rip the knowledge of an entire species and and that's what he nourishes. It's his food. It's food, right? It translate knowledge, translate into force, and he feeds himself onto it. So the Khartoum, the sorcerer, was looking for a way to win a war against the sidereal and the cult, and he invited the six interdimensional beings to come. Those beings were given the pinpoint, the location by the Far. The Far was the intermediary, right? It was the broker. And he, in exchange for giving those guys, they arrive on Mon, and they help to win the war. In exchange for, they were escaping their own world as well. They were under threat, so they were happy to flee their own world and try and conquer another one. But in exchange for giving access to that new world, they were ripped of their ability to reproduce. And on the other side, all the humans who benefited from the assistance of those newcomers, humans were ripped of their memory, the memory of their origins. So the memory with a big M is that what all Amayan or humans are lacking. But there were clauses within the deal, and there are exceptions and stuff. But you'll see when this is developed and exposed. So yeah, Faust. Yeah. I think, and what makes most sense after that, I think, I don't know if it's really directly related to Mon's research, but I thought that I could give a go at that. Because there are a few sages, there are a few ancient voices within Mon's setting that are they're philosophers. They have they are their own ways of interacting with, I don't know, with myth, with the world, and manipulating religion. So I thought that those books, Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche, could be a great one when it comes to really like high mind, really high mind. And it's I read Nietzsche back in the days. I can't really remember what was the Superhuman or something. But this like sort of like to shatter limitation, like go crazy, be free. I think it's about freedom. I think most of it's about self-determination and freedom. And there's a mechanic for it in Mon. There's devotion. You follow a road. You follow a drive. You moved by your drive and you follow a road, and you can activate those to go epic and reduce the difficulty of anything to zero. So even if you have something, like Titanic to achieve, you can reduce the difficulty to BD zero, base difficulty zero, thanks to that mechanic of going epic by activating your devotion. There's a prize, there's the burden and the charge that you accumulate over time doing that, and then you will be your road or your drive will be challenged, will be trialed, and if you fail those trials, you will accumulate scars and then derangements. So the more you push your character, the more unstable he becomes. Next, we have the hero with 1,000 faces. Bing! Tous casse la gueule. Everything is falling apart. The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. I think we can't avoid this one. It's the hero's journey, right? It's how we come to realize that we lack something. We need something. We are ignorant, and it's the quest for knowledge, self-knowledge, but knowledge in general. And because through knowing yourself, you know the world, right? And it's this cycle of continual reenacting what, because originally it's you do the gods, the myths are what humans learned of nature, learned of life, and he made the gods. Let's say that he made the gods in his image, not the opposite. I think it was the first attempt at schooling, mass schooling. So at the image of the gods, we try to reproduce those mythological moments, and to become more humans. And it's a cycle, and you learn one thing and the next and the next, and you realize the more you learn, the more you know that you don't know, the more you realize that you don't know everything, and there is a spiral. It's never ending. So here possibly to find inspiration about how to design roads and drives and the mechanics of devotion. There are 6 roads and 6 drives, which are mostly based on they're sort of like compact variations of the original, like 12 archetypes and this kind of things. And like you look for innocence or glory or knowledge or fun or freedom, those kinds of like essential psychological forces that drive us and towards which we aspire. I want this to be very strong, very strongly defined. I want the devotion mechanic in Mon. I want the players to feel fire. I want them through their character to give themselves the freedom to explore characters that go all in, like really. I want, this is I'm doing this one for the players, and for the GM to really have to be confronted with megalomaniacs, or maybe not megalomaniacs, but passionate. I want passionate characters to be at the front of every story in Mon. I think Devotion will have like it's gonna be great, because of course not the group as well has a form of devotion which we call focus, group focus. The group is an entity, has become the pieces, adventurers, the fellowship has become an entity, a being of its own. It has its own a group focus, which is the equivalent of devotion, and its goal, and its discord. Like if the world comes to like sort of like to trouble them, how those troubles are going to revive what divides the player characters. So there will be a mechanic that will help to articulate soft PvP within the adventurers group. Look forward to that, because this is something as well that got me a bit bored of general RPG in general. Is that it's always like we know each other from the start, we all want the same thing, and there's never if there's an argument, it never really matters. It's all RP, but there is no life within. It's rare. Well, there are games like maybe World of Darkness is the best example, where like you have a living relationships between characters, between PCs, right? But mostly, generally, games are more like outward oriented. We don't really look at the interactions between characters. It's more like we act as a group against the world. And here I wanted the world to have more influence from, like sort of like to. It comes in and out through trials, achieved, completed, or failed, and that has consequences on the ties between characters. So I have a lot to work on that. I have already version 4, I think, or 5. When it comes to designing the devotion and group focus mechanics and discord, charge, burden, and these kind of things. So yes, that was Joseph Campbell. That's going to be great. Then we have a little bit of alien here. Elizabeth Hike, initiation. So she was a seer, some kind of mystic. Don't even know the date. I think it's the 60s. Not really sure. And this woman relived her past lives when she was a priestess in the Egyptian, times, and when she was taught the mysteries of the priests, the Egyptian priests. So it's all first hand, like as if you were there. I think one can remember if you want, you can remember your past life. If you don't want to, you don't have to. How it is. Here, there is a culture influenced by Egyptian, myth and history. In Mon, it's the Cophrodite. The Cophrodite, they are weird. I think I mentioned them in a couple of videos. Well, they Egyptian inspired. They revere the great golden cosmic cobra. They have one leader, which is a child, the golden child, which is the incarnation of the cosmic cobra. 12 priesthood of 12 high priests who are undead. An army of undead. It's a great honor in the Cophrodite society to give your life to unlife and serve the armies. Serve in the armies of the Cophrodite Empire forever. Only someone of the slave caste can be reborn as the golden child, can be born to become the golden child when the golden child doesn't age. So I thought, why not read, that to get the inspiration to develop the origin myth and the culture and the details of the Cophrodite ancestry in Mon setting. Then there is, because there is a lot in Mon to do with creating new species and mixing genes and cultures and suffering the consequences. I thought that Frankenstein could be a great read, as well, just to sort of like turn a page on that part of the reading list and go into something. This is a novel, this fantasy novel. It reads easy. It's this nice 19th century language, tongue. It's really well written. Mary Shelley she's an incredible person. I don't know if there is a biography of hers, but I would read that in a breathe. Frankenstein. Because I think again, like so many, you watch movies. The myth is it's the myth of the myth. You don't. It's good to go back to the original material and try to understand where from she took her own inspiration, right, by reading the original, the actual title. So there's this. Next there is books. Too many books. The books of Earth Sea by Ursula Le Guin. She's incredible. Well, I'm not going to read everything. It's 1,900 pages. I'm just going to read the first, The Wizard of Earth Sea. I will try at least I will read one, The Wizard of Earth Sea. It's fantasy. It's been recommended many times. I think it's a must. I love Le Guin. I love how she puts her words together. I read, for example, which one did I? The one, there's this one by Ursula Le Guin. It's a compilation of selected works, Outer Space Inner Lands, Volume 2. This one, the ones who walk away from Omelas. The one who walks away from Omelas, but it's like 5 pages, and it makes it makes more than your day. Like I don't know. It's very strong, and I like to read Le Guin because she's a crafter, right? She's a craftswoman. She puts the way she writes is amazing, and I want to learn. I want to learn to write just the same. Another book, a bit different here, on the list. We're going like, I don't know how many thousands of pages that's here, but it's possibly more than 1 year of reading. Here we have a must, I think, as well. Peter Holben, The Hidden Life of Trees. How like all the root system of trees is connected, and how a forest is one organism, and forest and beyond, right? But through mycelium and bacteria and all that, forms sort of like a brain. The forest has an underground brain. And this is scientifically explained here in The Hidden Life of Trees. And I think there is in the Zia species. So those guys, those interdimensional travelers, arrived the Silgroth. And the Silgroth, they are space ants, basically. And what they change and what they alter with their seed of change, with their homeless gland, they becomes a warrior of life, of nature. They are the protector of organic life. So a couple of ancestries have evolved of them in Mon's setting. We have the Elkin, not the Gurney. I didn't put them. The Nook, and another one. Yeah, I forgot from the top of my head. So there's a few species there. If you want to play an eco terrorist, you're welcome. And it's going to be based on actual, I think, like because of their powers. Their powers will have to do like most of those Silgroth offspring will be able to take root and sort of like have hypersensitive sort of like they will be connected, able to receive information from far, far away, thanks to that that underground brain. So I look forward to that. I think it's almost now classic. Most of my friends have read it. I didn't yet. Next, back to now we're going into like a bit like maybe the extras. Not far, some of them no, but I have The Sword of Kagan by Wong, M.L. Wong, which is a fable, which it's a tale of Japanese fantasy to do with ancestral swords, right? It's big enough, but possibly a good inspiration when it comes to designing the ancestral sword of the emperor, the immortal emperor of the Ryun culture in Mon setting. I don't know what to expect. I asked around what is a good, sword samurai fantasy book. So that's what I got. And there's another one, I think, kind of in the same vein, but it's this one is more. It's I think it happens in China. Guy Gabriel Ray, Under Heaven. Again, a big epic story written in modern words about ancient curse in a Chinese sort of like middle-agey, medieval fantasy setting. So will I read these? I will see. I passed the first half. I think I most of the essential will have to be digested somewhat. But there's a lot. There is more. Because here we're going into more classics. I began to read that. It's amazing. Michael Moorcock, Elric of Melanie Bonnet. There is many more books in the series, but I think this one could do just to get a sense of what is meant by epic fantasy. All right. There's even a nice little chapter where Moorcock himself defines. Putting a tag on it, so it's like how do you define epic fantasy? And there is a whole little article where Moorcock himself describes what he thinks should go into that category. So Elric, of course, like how can you write a medieval fantasy role-playing game without having read that? So it will be my pleasure to read this book. Of course, in Mon setting we have the sidereals, we have cosmic space monsters of incredible size and power and psionic powers and you name it, and a cult forming around them and stuff. So Lovecraft is of course you cannot avoid it. I don't know if there I will find exactly what I'm looking for. I'm interested into the monsters, the entities themselves. Of course, I have multiple role-playing books about that setting, about Cthulhu. I like the monsters themselves, but I like as well the cults. So I don't know if there will be a lot to do here with the cults, and all the esotericism and the way you appropriate or try to appropriate otherworldly powers to form a cult. Are you really a pawn? Or is there a margin for freedom there? Conan. I think that's going to be. I put it towards the end because I wanted to save it for later. Like sort of. I don't think it's the highest, like tongue or literature. It's pretty pulp, yeah. Even from back in the days, it's the 10s and 20s, it was written in the 20s or so. It's when I read it, it's not like the most like fluid, like exquisite tone, yeah. But the tale, the tale and the symbol, the meaning of Conan and the character. So this possibility to get a sense of how to write with a certain tone, a certain vibe, how to be appealing. I can't wait. I can't wait to read that one. Because there are dinosaurs in the in Mon setting. I wanted to go back to the root of pulp, and with Edgar Rice Burroughs, the land that time forgot, right? So it's explorators stranded on an island, and of course there are dinosaurs there, right? So I think this one is a classic. Again, it's that what when it's the 10s or 20s it was written in. It's yeah, it's the John Quarter of Mars. Mars as well is on the list. I don't have the book. That's going to be great. Yeah, to sort of like keep the sense of the fantastic fresh, right? To sort of like be able to describe Mon's species, Mon's creatures, with something fresh, like you when you see horror for the first time, or Next, there is a role playing game of the Chronicles of Amber by Gelazne. I know nothing. It's interdimensional stuff. It's quite brain wrecking. I think the couple extract I read are pretty out there. It looks really weird. There's a role-playing game of this, The Chronicles of Amber, or Amber, is it? It's a dice-less game. You play it with card. I didn't dig it too much into it, but I think it's a good idea to think of role-playing games as activities that could be done without dice. Although I think dice are nice. So yeah, we'll see. But I really have no comment. More comment. It's sci-fi. It's sci-fi. It's a cult. Huh? It's a cult classic as well. So we'll see where it takes me. Because in Mon's setting, the Amayan arrived on the planet into massive sky cities, sky ships, spaceships, basically powered by kaon reactors, of which technology they have. They lost that knowledge. They inherit. Some of the cities crash landed, but most of them landed proper. And millennia later, now they became the capital cities of those cultures. But who knows? Like they think like their ancestors built that, like ages past. They don't know that those cities are actual spaceships. Were actual spaceships. Maybe the elite, maybe the leaders have secret knowledge of that, depending on what kind of clothes they managed to cut during the cartoons deal. We'll see. Anyway, here with China Mieville, Perdido Street Station. It's a massive book. It's massive. It's 900 pages. About a mega city and the life within that mega city. And I think it's more fantasy. I'm not sure, but I think it's going to be great to like you have Blade Runner and you have Perdido Street Station, yeah. And I wanted to have that. I wanted urban settings to be part of it. There are great expanses of wilderness. There are all sorts of landforms and climates and stuff in Mon. All sorts of altered landscapes and you name it. But I also wanted to, I love a good city setting for a role-playing game. I wanted to have what it takes to put together mega cities and in Mon's setting. And see, like it's gonna be filled with creative ideas, like how do you travel within the city, how the quarters are organized and stuff. So every major culture, Amayan, will have arrived by a sky city means, and they inherit that. We'll see how they come to explain to themselves the origin myth, after having lost their memory, right? And we're coming towards the end of Next is, of course, another cult classic for some of you, I guess. Gene Wolfe, the saga, of the New Sun, the Book of the New Sun, here of Shadow and Claw, and I don't know where are the two other books somewhere. It's 4 books, and it's about, like, you think it's fantasy when it begins. It's dark fantasy, yeah, very grim. And then you understand that it's all the technology was lost and we're in the future. Yeah, so there is something in there definitely when it comes to explaining the memory loss of Mon sculptures, some of the Amayan at least, and how what's left of technology is reinterpreted as something magical. Yeah. So, yeah, but this. I read like 200-300 pages back in the days of the beginning of this saga. It was amazing, but then I got distracted with other stuff. But we'll see how I feel when coming back to it. We have the War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells again, like going back to the roots of fantasy, sci-fi, space invasions. Mon is a planet that went on spiritual lockdown, so she's now it's impossible to escape her domain. She has had enough of too many space invaders, of invasions, who don't who seem to who be able to come together, to come along, and even when swearing to make peace, so. Here we have a story of space invasion. So I guess going to give me material to develop. How did the Golog, the Neandertal, saw those successive waves of invaders, of colonists coming, changing their world, how they adapted or not. What's the deal here? Nearly done. Then we have another sci-fi, Arthur C. Clarke, Childhood's End. Same, a book about space invaders. So I picked it for the same reason as the War of the Worlds, because it's one of the like determined titles when it comes to sci-fi in general. And to wrap it up, Isaac Asimov's Foundation. So when it comes to intercultural connections, dealings, relationships, how empires form and dissolve, and machinations and power plays and things like that. There's going to be, but it's a big, it's not just one book, but at least I read one. And there's more book here, but I think that's the list as it is at this point. I'm aiming to read 50 pages a day. So on a good year, that should get me far. On a less aligned year, that should take a bit longer. The cat who wants out. So when one is swimming in that stuff constantly, it's hard to understand to see, to feel the little changes. Yeah, what stays, what's eliminated, what's discarded, what influence really has influence, what inspiration really makes its way deep and is reborn into a new form within a new vessel, right? Mon is going to be quite a patchwork of influences. It's gonna be rich. It's gonna be contrasted, colorful. It's gonna be kaleidoscopic. But all of that, I think, is the body, not the core, right? At the core, it's really going to be a game about how can you be free together. How can you build? How can you bring about world peace while being all so different and having different origin stories and goals and understandings and philosophies. With each ancestry and species bringing a different, like, it's all coming from the head of human. So it's all like this. We create, I take a bit of my psyche up and I extract it, and I try to make a life form out of that single sort of like axiom, and which is completely artificial, but it's an experiment. It's an experiment to see as well how the individual and the collective are reflecting each other, right? How the border between an individual and the collective and the world, tell me, like, where is the border between you and the world? You can't answer that. No one. I don't think we can answer it, but there will not be a definitive answer. The border between the individual and the world is you can't. It's. I think I had an answer, which is kind of like a trick, but the border between the individual and the world is life. Life, as in like how life evolves, how life, where it takes you, like who you are, and it's where you are, it's when you are, it's what you are, what you eat, it's what you see, all of that. So it's very hard to define a culture, a person, a movement. It's easier to define a movement than a person. Yeah. So anyway, I hope that all of those books are an inspiration for you as well. I hope that I've reminded you that some of them are worth the time. We will see together how as I develop more videos on the design diary, how I recall those inspirations, and those who have followed will understand. If that gives you idea, like if there is a title I missed, put it in the comment. Suggestions are very welcome, more than welcome. Help me know more about my world, about the world, so I can write a better game and design a better game. Guys, I'll let you go. I hope you're well, dear dreamers, dear travelers. I'll see you around. You like, if you want, you subscribe. If you want, you go check the Patreon page. Every Patreon will get a free PDF digital version of the game when it's published, and all sorts of things. Playtesting coming in September 26th, closed. I'm beginning to ramble. Lots of stuff coming in on the way. All right, have a good one. Thanks very much for listening, for watching. Merry Christmas to you all.